On this week in the NBA, it's getting kind of embarrassing the way guys are falling all over themselves just to get on the show. But we'll deal with it. We'll have the fallout from that fracas, plus see how Smits gave the Hawks fits. Denver tried to find the right stuff versus Utah, and Zeke speaks of life after the Pistons. Glad you could drop in. It's going to be quite a party. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the show. And please, don't be surprised if at some point during the program we just break out and went into a good old-fashioned knockdown, drag-out fight. I mean, all the players are doing it, and we just want to mirror the times. Mike Glenn is here as always, and Mike, at least for now, you're not going to take a swing at me, right?
No. It's contagious, but we'll avoid it.
Okay, I'll be ready to duck, though. Let's talk about something a little nicer. That would be dancing, that funky pre-game routine that the Indiana Pacers do. As we found out yesterday, when it comes to dancing and playing the Hawks, the Pacers like to lead. They're back up 2-1 in their series, and there they go. They're at it. Look at Reggie Miller and his main man spinning it. They're all over. Oh, man. Dressing down. First quarter, I'll tell you what, Rick Smits was dressing down John Koncak. Look at that. Helped give the Pacers an early lead, 18 minutes 27 in the first half alone, Mike.
Well, look at him now with the high pick and able to roll down low, and Lang had no help, and he dunked it home. Smits was also a big factor getting into the middle with the fall-away jumper from a 7-4 player. Very difficult to stop. And Hawks had their troubles on offense. Their big three, Danny Manning had his troubles, as did Kevin Willis and Mookie Blaylock. They combined for 31 points. And Lenny was just trying to find someone to go to for some offense.
In the meantime, Larry liked what he saw. Third quarter, and Haywood Workman feeding Byron Scott. Dumps it to Dale Davis. He's got the easiest of two. Pacers up by 14 over Atlanta. And then this is not a replay. The Pacers just doing a great job of moving the ball around. Miller to Antonio Davis for the easy jam. Part of a 101-81 victory by Indiana as they take a 2-1 lead. Larry's happy. He's calling the shots, and I wonder if the Grim Reaper's thinking about calling a few shots against the Hawks. Anyway, nice way to bounce back for the Indiana Pacers after an NBA playoff worst 69 points in Game 2. It took Indiana just 34 minutes, in fact, to hit that mark in Game 3. No big secret why. They hit their shots, many coming from Rick Smits right around the basket. Those are high-percentage shots and difficult for anyone trying to stop them.
I'm proud of our team because Atlanta sent us a message in Game 2, and this was such a gut check tonight. I just hope we're ready tomorrow.
And tomorrow, of course, is today. Was it more a case, though, of Indiana's failure to go to Smits in Game 2 that hurt them, or did Atlanta really just fail in Game 3 to stop him?
They failed to stop him. I think Atlanta did a much better job in Game 2 of stopping him. John Koncak did a good job on cycling, has done a good job on Smits, but he just erupted in this game.
Well, the Hawks have shown that when Mookie Blaylock is on, they are on. He only had 6 points and 7 assists in Game 3. How did Indiana stop him, and can Atlanta adjust?
Well, Indiana did a good job of preventing him from getting in the middle. Mookie had a little hamstring pull, not quite as aggressive as we've seen him, but they really shut down the middle, and that started the Indiana fast break for some easy transition baskets. But I think you'll see a revived Mookie today. I think you'll see him breaking down those defenses and causing some problems.
Yeah, he's got to hit those shots. Game 4, by the way, later today at 1 o'clock Eastern, the first of 4 games on the schedule. Meanwhile, the Western Conference semifinals, there is but one final nugget of hope for Denver, which is now down 3-0 to the Utah Jazz after yesterday's game at McNichols Arena. This is the way it looked. LaFonso Ellis early misses the jumper, but Dikembe right there to clean up the mess with the follow slam and the foul.
Well, Mutombo was a key factor in the first half as he had 18 points on a variety of moves, including that up and under one.
The Jazz, though, led by as much as 20 in the second half until LaFonso Ellis started to get hot. Robert Pack will kick it to Ellis for the fast break layup, and suddenly Utah's lead was down to just 4 points. Ellis later with a nice spin move, part of his 25-point performance. He also draws the foul, little 10-0 burst late, and I'll tell you what, the Nuggets were right back in it.
And look at Mutombo doing what he does best with the big block. And Robert Pack, who's having a phenomenal postseason appearances, gives it to LaFonso Ellis with a Dr. J impression, and Denver would take a 2-point lead.
Yeah, how close did it get? 13 seconds left, and Utah fighting for survival. Stockton to Karl Malone. The J is in. 26-point performance for Malone. We go to overtime. In the extra, tied at 102. Stockton kicks it to Jeff Hornacek, who drains the three. Those two, Stockton and Hornacek, combining for 51 points in this 2-point victory. Those two frequently got open on the pick and roll, Stockton and Hornacek, and they combined for 11 of Utah's 13 points in overtime. Denver learned the hard way that you can't let your guard down against those guys.
Stockton and Hornacek are just so smart. You know, they're going to find the open shots, and they don't turn the ball over. We scored 4 points off of their turnovers, and they scored 21 points off of ours.
I just want to go home, go back to the hotel, give me a nice big steak, and relax. I'm not thinking about wrapping nothing up. I just want to come out and play the game.
Well, we're talking about meals now. Hornacek and Stockton really had the Nuggets for lunch in overtime. What did the Jazz do to get them open?
They overloaded one side with their 3 best offensive players, and it was a great move. See, you got Hornacek in the corner, you got Stockton up top and Malone down low, and they were just dumping in, run nice little screen rolls, get good return passes, and Hornacek won a perimeter jump shooter, one of the best in the league. Now take a look at this pick and roll here. Mutombo backs up just a little to guard Malone and leaves Stockton open, and one of those 3 guys really carried them down the stretch, principally Stockton and Hornacek.
Let's say they could work some of that again. Hornacek and Stockton stay hot. Does Denver stand any chance of winning Game 4?
They do stand a chance. They've played extremely good basketball, and they found that they could hurt Utah down in the low post area. I look for a lot more of that in this game.
All right, Game 4 of this series, also the 4th and final game of the day. You can catch it on TNT beginning at 9 o'clock Eastern. Well, the Rockets and Suns resume their series this afternoon with Game 4 at America West Arena. The Suns up 2-1, but it really could be 3-0 Houston, or at least 2-1 in their favor. The Rockets have blown 2 leads. Of course, no one will forget the collapse in Game 2 when Phoenix set an NBA record by rallying from 18 down to enter the 4th quarter to win. But Houston turned the tables on the Suns in Game 3. That is for sure. This is really a weird series. The home team has not won yet.
Well, Vernon Maxwell was the big key, Bob. He's able to hit the long jump shot that keeps them in games. In the game when they couldn't score, Maxwell's hand was bothering him. They couldn't get any perimeter jump shot. But when he's hitting that jumper, they're a very difficult team to beat.
Well, it really seems like the formula is simple for Houston, really. Get it to someone besides Hakeem. I guess Vernon Maxwell, or maybe who else could step up for them?
Yeah, well, Kenny Smith has been sort of erratic sometimes, but he's a good jump shooter from the perimeter also. But the key is Hakeem Olajuwon and Vernon Maxwell. They're their 2 big offensive weapons.
Okay, if you saw the end of the Knicks-Bulls game Friday night, you were probably thinking, what the Pippen is going on here? Well, coming up next on the show, we're going to fill you in. We'll hear from Scotty and Phil Jackson all about the team concept, or lack thereof. Grab some bench and stick around for details.
Time now for our delivery of the week, and it comes from New York Knicks guard John Starks, who makes the steal, drives the lane, and then makes a move that reminds us of a former Bull shooting him down for 2, and that is our delivery of the week.
There is no I in team, but there is one in Pippen. The Bulls' main player wanted to be the main man on Chicago's final play against the Knicks Friday night at the stadium. Instead, he decided to take a seat on the bench after finding out in the huddle that he would not be the go-to guy on the Bulls' final possession of the game. Pippen and Phil Jackson exchanged words before Scotty went and found a seat. Then the play went off without a hitch. The inbounds to Tony Kukoc, the turnaround Jay, and the game-winning shot at the buzzer to get Chicago within 2-1 in the series. It should have been one big celebration, right? It wasn't.
I think we're going to be able to regroup. We realized we've had 3 games, 4-quarter jinx, so we got to come out and play a lot better. We can't take back anything from yesterday's game, but we can definitely play better.
I know it's your job to expose and to make us all look human and naked, but we're not going to do that to our team or to any individual on our team, because we supported each other in the past and we're still going to do that.
I don't know why you're pushing that all year, like something between me and Pip. It's no problem.
Well, Mike, I'm a big Scottie Pippen fan. I love the way he took the torch from Michael this season, but I'm really disappointed. I mean, whatever happened to the team concept here?
Yeah, Bob, I have to agree with you. I like you. I'm a huge Scottie Pippen fan. I think he's had a tremendous season. I think he got caught up in the emotion and was a little disappointed that he, being the go-to guy, did not get the call. But, however, I understand he did apologize to his teammates, and I really like the way Phil Jackson handled the whole situation.
There is some extra baggage here. I mean, Pippen has harbored some resentment towards Kukoc for the way the Bulls courted him and handled his contract negotiations, how much they paid him. I mean, did that affect things at all?
I think it does. It has to. When you have a player that helped you win 3 championships, he and Horace Grant, Horace can't get a new contract, and seemingly everybody's just going to Kukoc and showering him with money and praise. And there's a little resentment there for the work that Pippen and the Bulls have done before he arrived.
Now, you like the way Jackson put out the fire, but could this ultimately break the Bulls? I mean, Scotty is unhappy. In the bigger picture, Horace Grant has said he'll probably be elsewhere next season, or he's thinking about it. I mean, they seem to be chipping apart to me.
They are, and I think that's why you have to give a lot of credit to Phil Jackson, because Phil is able to hold them together and say, it's a we. It's not an I-thou relationship. I don't have to punish Scotty and show Scotty. We're going to come together and try to win this 4th championship.
On top of all this, there was the mother of all fights Friday night, right in front of Big Daddy, David Stern. Let's take a look at that. The Knicks' Derek Harper and Bulls' JoJo English jawed each other and then come to blows That started a free-for-all that spilled off the court and into the stands right in front of the obviously concerned NBA commissioner. Harper was suspended for 2 games and fined $15,000. English got 1 game and $10,000, while 15 other players were fined $2,500 each for leaving the bench. And the loss of Harper, I think, Mike, could really hurt the Knicks for 2 games, couldn't it?
It certainly could. You look at a Bulls team that won that game and now have a chance to win a second game in Chicago Stadium, and that could really turn the series to favoring the Bulls rather than the Knicks.
Well, the rest of the game itself was quite a scrap, especially in the second half when the Bulls saw their 22-point lead evaporate. A sad occurrence for the Bulls and their fans, but seems to be becoming habit in this series. New York has been down in the fourth quarter every game, but has rallied to win 2 of 3. Why can't the Bulls close the deal?
Bob, I think they lose their aggression. This team had a lot of confidence in the past. You had number 23 out there and you knew you were going to win. I see them in the fourth quarter pulling back, wasting time with 2 or 3 minutes left, trying to nurture the little time and hope that time will elapse before the Knicks can catch them. But I look for them to be more aggressive in the fourth quarter and continue to pour it on and try to include and expand the lead rather than just nurture it.
There is some sort of fire burning from Game 3. I guess we'll find out later today. Still to come on This Week in the NBA, Zeke Speak. We'll have the final words from Isaiah Thomas as an active member of the Detroit Pistons. He put the official seal on his retirement this week, and we'll hear all about it next.
It's courtesy of the Atlanta Hawks against Indiana earlier this week. Mookie Blaylock ahead to Kevin Willis, and he knows what to do with it. Putting it down with authority on the reverse jam, and that is our Chrysler Fast Break.
It's the Houston Rockets' dream to see Hakeem score 50 points per game, but Olajuwon says he'd rather do it with D. On Monday, Hakeem was voted the NBA's Defensive Player of the Year for the 2nd straight season. He averaged nearly 12 rebounds and 4 blocked shots per game. Hakeem edged San Antonio's David Robinson by 1 vote. Joining him on the all-defensive team were Charles Oakley, Scottie Pippen, Mookie Blaylock, and Gary Payton. The LA Lakers Friday filled their head coaching vacancy by tabbing Del Harris for the job. Harris had previous tours of duty with the Rockets and Bucks, and most recently was a consultant with Sacramento. But that was off the court. Now he's happy to be back in the thick of things.
We're not going to spend a lot of time talking about the past or whatever, because that's not productive. And yet, to know that there is a tremendous heritage here, and it's something that I want to reestablish and be a part of reestablishing.
By the way, if you do attend a Lakers home game next season, don't be confused if you look at the LA bench and see Harris working, then look down your row of seats to see Leslie Nielsen watching the game. A friendly reminder that you're not seeing double, although Nielsen might be needed if the Lakers are headed towards another sub-500 finish. I can't really think of a lookalike for the subject of our next story, but then there really is no one quite like Isaiah Thomas. He was able to carve his own niche even when Larry, Magic, and Michael grabbed bigger headlines. On Wednesday, Isaiah officially joined those 3 as ex-NBA players. Nick Charles has the story.
Isaiah Thomas Wednesday hobbled into retirement on crutches. The beaming smile, though, was evident. But so also was the full gamut of emotion that flooded him with the finality of his decision.
My emotions are going a mile a minute. I told myself I wouldn't cry, but I'm getting ready to go already.
Since Thomas shredded his Achilles tendon last month, to most, Wednesday's announcement was no surprise, only formality. Yet Isaiah claims the injury wasn't the problem. What's left him is that ferocious intensity. He said, in essence, that he'd lost the zeal for the game he often dominated, but leaves with a sense of accomplishment and relief as well as regret.
I had a tremendous time, made a lot of friends, got a chance to travel and see places that I never thought I would be able to see growing up on the west side of Chicago.
From Chicago, Isaiah went to Indiana and led the Hoosiers to the national championship in 1981. But he was gone by spring, a 19-year-old taken as the 2nd pick in the NBA draft by Detroit. Thomas would go on to lift a previously forlorn franchise into a championship-caliber team that swaggered and banged and bruised its way to 2 straight NBA titles. Isaiah Thomas didn't endear himself to everyone, who claimed he carried the credo of doing whatever it took to win to ugly extremes at times. Yet no one ever doubted his tenacity, talent, and wonderful presence that made him a basketball rarity, a little man with big impact.
This isn't a poor athlete story here today, I want to tell you. I made plans a long time ago, 3-4 years ago, to start getting myself involved in other businesses, to start growing as a man.
But that growth took root and blossomed throughout his brilliant 13-year NBA career. As vital as the 2 championship rings he wears, the promise Thomas kept to his mother is perhaps just as important. Even with fame and fortune fixtures in his life, Isaiah Thomas went back for his college degree in criminal justice and earned it, just as he's earned a place in the annals of basketball history.
Well, we've talked about his retirement for a couple weeks. He finally etched it in stone. Should Isaiah be put in that same group as Magic, Michael, and Larry?
You know, just one notch below them. This is a fantastic player who really did a good job of combining the street ball. He had the great one-on-one moves, fearless, but had all the fundamental game as well. Could cross over, execute fundamentally, and a great leader. Really led those teams in Detroit.
It's amazing to see him. We saw in that package him go over Michael. You don't see that very often.
No, you don't.
Little big man. On the way, the Week in Review served up just the way you like it. Hot and fresh with a dash of cinnamon. I'm sorry, that's the way you like your coffee. But we know that to truly entertain you, we'll have to air it out and go deep. Something like that if we want to make a connection. Stick around and see what happens. This time of year in the NBA can bring out the best in some teams and the worst in others. We've seen amazing rallies from some and incredible gags from others. Fred Hickman has rolled a review of the week into a tasty little appetizer, just in case you missed it.
Well, these are, after all, the playoffs, and it's not only the players who tend to elevate their performances, even the big shots go bananas over this action. Their basic instincts are to come out and root their brains out, to ask not what they can do for their team, but for what their team can do for them. However, they can be kind of hard on you. Tony Bennett sure has aged since his Hornets got bumped from contention. Oh, that Tony Bennett. Well, the playoffs are also rough and tumble, more like football. And don't tell me Mace couldn't play pulling guard for the Jets in a pinch, because he could. You might even see a fumble or two out on the court. Chris got the Rookie of the Year award, but fell from contention for good hands honors with that move. Now, if you're in Denver, you might just get a chance to see John Elway test fire that cannon arm of his. And when in New York, you might catch Starks kicking to make an extra point. You'll see serious mood swings on the court, coaches with their heads in their hands. Now, that's usually the international sign for impending elimination. You'll see guys on fire no matter what happens. Dwayne is Pharrell against Indiana.
Trying to beat the buzzer and does.
So was teammate Mookie Blaylock. And what about Charles Barkley and the Suns' Game 2 massacre of the Rockets down in Houston? Even Scotty Brooks, chiming in from the bench, could not bend Chuck's aim.
He's not going to miss that three.
You'll see teams proving fans wrong, like in Seattle. Dikembe and friends thought a little bit differently that day. You'll see some meaningful fashion statements for Pete's sake, inspirational and memorial. You'll see guys going high off the glass and hard to the wood. But after all, it's in the name of good, clean fun.
And finally, the word is out on the Toronto franchise, which will begin playing the 95-96 season. Their nickname will be the Raptors. That's the dinosaur made famous in the movie Jurassic Park. And Mike, I understand it's all marketing nowadays, and dinosaurs are hot, but Raptors?
I thought that was a rap singing group, the Raptors. But anyway, that's pressure on their organization. You got a name like Raptors, you better be good.
That's exactly what I thought. Somebody said Raptors. I said rappers. They
Right.
said Raptors. I said rafters.
Right.
I didn't get it. Anyway, 150,000 people. It was a name the team contest. 150,000 people put in their suggestions.
Wow.
So we know the Leafs are going to sell a lot of merchandise. That's for sure. By the way, the game on TNT tonight is a late game. The Nuggets and Jazz. It's 9 p.m. and then join Mike and myself afterwards on Inside the NBA. For now, that's going to do it for this week in the NBA. But don't forget to tune in at 7:30 Eastern to round out your day with CNN Sports Sunday. For Mike Glenn, I'm Bob Lorenz. We'll see you right back here next week.
This has been a presentation of CNN Sports.